The email arrived at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Subject line, "Congratulations, Sarah." I was already in bed scrolling mindlessly through my phone when I saw it. My heart jumped. I'd been waiting for this promotion for 3 years, 3 years of 60-hour weeks, missed birthdays, canceled vacations. Finally, it was happening. I opened the email. "Dear Sarah Mitchell, we're pleased to offer you the position of Senior Director of Operations, effective immediately. Your new salary is $280,000 annually." I actually cried. Quiet tears of relief and joy. I turned to wake my husband, Marcus, but he was already awake, watching me with a strange expression I couldn't quite read. "I got it," I whispered. "Marcus, I actually got it." He smiled, pulled me close, kissed my forehead. "I'm so proud of you, baby, you deserve this." But something in his voice felt off, too flat, too rehearsed. I ignored it. "I was too happy to care. I'm Sarah Mitchell. I'm 34 years old. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I worked at Meridian Financial Group as a project manager." Until that email, until everything changed. Until I learned that success can make you a target in your own home. The celebration dinner was Marcus's idea. He insisted we go to Étoile, the French restaurant downtown where we'd had our first anniversary dinner 7 years ago. It was expensive, romantic, and perfect. He ordered champagne, held my hand across the table, toasted to my future. "To the most brilliant woman I know," he said, raising his glass. "Nothing's going to stop you now." I should have heard the warning in those words. I didn't. The promotion meant more responsibility, longer hours, and a new office on the executive floor. It also meant something I hadn't fully considered. I was now making almost twice what Marcus earned. He worked as a graphic designer for a marketing firm, pulling in about $65,000 a year. He'd always been fine with our income gap before, or so I thought. The first week was normal, exciting, even, new desk, new title, new business cards with Senior Director embossed in gold lettering. Marcus seemed happy for me, supportive. He cooked dinner most nights, gave me space to decompress, listened to my stories about boardroom politics and budget meetings. But in the second week, something shifted. It started small, comments that felt like compliments but landed like criticism. "Wow, another late night. They're really getting their money's worth out of you." Or, "It must be nice having an assistant now. I'm still doing everything myself." I laughed it off. Marcus was probably just tired, maybe stressed about his own job. Then came the questions. Casual at first, then increasingly specific. How much was my bonus structure? Who reported to me now? What authority did I have over company finances? I thought he was just interested in my work, proud of my success. I answered everything openly. I trusted him completely. By the third week, Marcus started working from home more often. He'd always gone into the office 4 days a week, but suddenly he needed the quiet of our apartment to focus on projects. He'd be there when I left for work at 7 a.m., still there when I got home at 8 p.m., sitting at the dining table with his laptop and design files spread everywhere. "Don't you miss the office?" I asked one evening. "I'm more productive here," he said without looking up. "Plus, this way I get to see you more." It sounded sweet. It wasn't sweet. Marcus wasn't working from home to be productive. He was going through my files. I discovered it by accident. I came home early one Thursday because a client meeting got canceled. I walked into our apartment quietly. I'd forgotten my keys that morning and Marcus had given me his spare, which didn't jingle like mine did. I heard him in the bedroom talking on the phone. "I'm telling you, she has access to everything now," he was saying, his voice urgent and low. "Client accounts, transaction histories, authorization codes. This is exactly what we need." I froze in the hallway. What did he mean, we? "Give me 2 more weeks," Marcus continued. "I'll have everything you need. Account numbers, security protocols, the works. Then we move the money and disappear. She'll never even know it was me." My stomach dropped like an elevator with cut cables. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. This was my husband, the man I'd been with for 9 years, married to for 7. The man who cried at our wedding, who held my hand through my father's funeral, who'd built a life with me, and he was planning to rob my company, using me. Before we continue, please hit subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything to me. Now let's see how deep this betrayal goes. I backed out of the apartment silently, went down to my car, and sat there shaking for 20 minutes. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I'd heard. Was Marcus planning to steal from Meridian? How long had he been planning this? And who was the we he'd mentioned? I called my best friend Jamie. She's a corporate attorney and the smartest person I know. When I told her what I'd overheard, she went quiet for a long moment. "Sarah," she finally said, her voice deadly serious, "you need to call the police right now. I can't just—" "Yes, you can. This is a corporate fraud conspiracy. If Meridian gets robbed and they find out you had this information and didn't report it, you could be considered an accessory. Your career would be over. You could face criminal charges." She was right. I knew she was right, but calling the police on my own husband, ending my marriage, destroying his life. Then I remembered his voice on that phone call, cold, calculating, eager. She'll never even know it was me. He wasn't planning to steal from my company, he was planning to frame me for it. Marcus was setting Sarah up to take the fall. I called Detective Robert Chen, Corporate Crimes Division. He took my statement over the phone first, then asked me to come to the station. I met him at 6 p.m., still in my work clothes, still shaking. Detective Chen was mid-40s, calm and professional. He'd heard stories like mine before, he said. Spouses using their partner's professional access for financial crimes. It happened more than people realized. The promotion made you valuable, he explained, not as a wife, as an asset. He probably started planning this the moment he knew you were being considered for the position. That hit me like a physical blow. 3 years. I'd been working toward this promotion for 3 years. Had Marcus been planning this the entire time? Was our whole marriage just preparation? Detective Chen asked if I'd noticed any other changes in Marcus's behavior. I thought back over the past month, the constant questions about my work. His sudden interest in our home security system. He'd upgraded it 2 weeks ago, saying he worried about break-ins in our neighborhood. The way he'd insisted on setting up a new joint bank account for easier budgeting, getting my signature on forms I barely read. Oh God, I'd signed documents without reading them carefully. I was an operations director at a financial firm and I'd signed papers without reading them. "I need you to act normal," Detective Chen said. "Go home tonight. Don't let Marcus know you suspect anything. We need to find out who he's working with and how much information he's already stolen. You want me to go home to a man who's plotting to destroy my life and pretend everything's fine? I know it's hard. But if we move too fast, his accomplices disappear and we can't prove conspiracy. We need to catch them in the act." So I went home. I walked through my front door at 8:15 p.m., called out, "Hey, honey, I'm home," like I did every night. Marcus was in the kitchen making dinner, pasta with marinara sauce, my favorite. He kissed me when I walked in, asked about my day, and poured me a glass of wine. I felt like I was in a horror movie. Everything looked normal, the warm lighting, the smell of garlic and basil, my husband's familiar smile. But underneath it all was rot, decay, a monster wearing the face of someone I loved. "How was your day?" I asked, taking a sip of wine I didn't want. "Productive," Marcus said cheerfully. "Finished that campaign design for the Henderson account. How about you?" "Any exciting executive decisions today?" He was fishing, trying to get me to share information about security protocols, system access, anything useful for his plan. I smiled and gave him nothing. Just the usual meetings, budget reviews, personnel decisions, pretty boring actually. Marcus had been manipulating Sarah for years, not just weeks. That night, lying in bed next to Marcus while he slept peacefully, I started piecing things together. Memories I'd dismissed as insignificant suddenly took on new meaning. 2 years ago, Marcus encouraged me to apply for a management position at Meridian that I didn't think I was qualified for. "You're brilliant," he'd said. You deserve to move up. I thought he was being supportive, he was positioning me. 18 months ago, he'd suggested I take a course on corporate finance and information systems. It'll help with your career, he'd said, shows initiative. I thought he was helping me grow professionally, he was making sure I'd have the access he'd eventually need. A year ago, he'd thrown me a surprise party when I got promoted to project manager. Invited all my colleagues from Meridian, asked them detailed questions about their roles, made connections with people in IT and security. I thought he was proud of me, interested in my world. He was building a network, researching targets, planning. My entire career advancement had been orchestrated by my husband so he could rob my company. I went into the bathroom, locked the door, and cried as quietly as I could. Not just because Marcus was a criminal, but because our entire relationship, 9 years of my life, had been a lie. Every "I love you," every shared dream, every promise we'd made to each other, all of it had been manipulation. Detective Chen called me the next morning while I was in my office. We've identified Marcus's accomplice. His name is Derek Paulson. He's a mid-level accountant at Meridian, works in your building 3 floors below you. My blood ran cold. Derek Paulson. I know Derek, we've had meetings together. He seems so normal. Most criminals do. We've been monitoring Marcus's communications. Derek has access to client fund transfers but not authorization codes. That's where you come in. Together they can move money out of client accounts and make it look legitimate. They're planning to steal $4.2 million over the course of a single weekend, then disappear before the theft is discovered on Monday morning. $4 million. My husband was planning to steal $4 million and frame me for it. When? I asked. Next weekend, Saturday night, when the offices are empty and security is minimal. Derek's going to authorize transfers using stolen credentials. Marcus will be on-site with him using your access codes to approve the transactions. My access codes? I've never given Marcus my access codes. Check your home computer. I'm betting he's installed keylogging software. Every password you've typed, every login credential, he's been recording it all. I felt sick. That computer was in our bedroom. I used it every night to finish work I couldn't complete at the office. Marcus had probably been harvesting my credentials for months. What do? I asked. We're going to catch them in the act, Detective Chen said. But I need your help. The accomplice worked at Sarah's company and they'd been planning a $4.2 million heist. The plan was simple but terrifying. I would act normal all week, giving Marcus no reason to suspect I knew anything. On Saturday night, when Marcus thought I'd be at my goddaughter's birthday party, an event he knew I'd been planning to attend for weeks, I'd actually be at Meridian's offices with police, waiting to catch Marcus and Derek in the act. But first, Detective Chen needed more evidence. He wanted recordings of Marcus discussing the plan. North Carolina requires 2-party consent for recordings, but there's an exception for law enforcement investigations. With a judge's approval, I could legally wear a wire, so that's what I did. For 3 days, I wore a recording device hidden in my clothing. I asked Marcus innocent questions designed to get him talking about money, about our future, about his work. I was careful, subtle. And slowly, he revealed himself. Once we have enough money, we could move to Costa Rica, he said one evening while we watched TV. No extradition treaty with the U.S. Beautiful beaches, low cost of living, we could disappear completely. Why would we need to disappear? I asked, playing dumb. He laughed, but it was a strange laugh, nervous, excited. Just daydreaming, babe. Wouldn't it be nice to start over somewhere new, leave all the corporate stress behind? I smiled and nodded, even though my heart was breaking. He was already planning our life after the robbery, a life built on stolen money and lies. On Thursday night, Marcus made a mistake. He got comfortable, confident, and let his guard down. We were having dinner when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, smiled, and typed out a quick response. Who's that? I asked casually. Just Derek from work. We're meeting up this weekend to watch the game. I knew there was no game this weekend. I also knew Derek Paulson wasn't Marcus's friend. They were co-conspirators and Marcus had just given me the opening I needed. "Oh, that's nice," I said. "I'll be at Emma's birthday party anyway, so you guys can have your man cave time." Marcus's expression shifted slightly, relief mixed with something darker, satisfaction. "Yeah, perfect timing actually. We've got some business to discuss too." "Business? I thought Derek worked in accounting." "He does. We're talking about a potential investment opportunity." "Nothing major, just something we've been looking into." Every word was a lie, every sentence was part of his plan to destroy me. That night I listened to Marcus sleep and made a decision. I wasn't just going to let the police catch him, I was going to face him. I was going to look him in the eyes and watch him realize that I knew everything, that I'd outsmarted him. That the woman he'd underestimated had beaten him at his own game. I called Detective Chen the next morning. "I want to be there when you arrest him. I want him to see my face and know that I won. Sarah, I need this, please." There was a long pause, then, "Okay, but you stay behind the police line. This is still an active investigation." Sarah wasn't just surviving, she was taking control. Saturday arrived. I got dressed for Emma's birthday party, a floral dress, nice shoes, full makeup. I hugged Marcus goodbye, told him to have fun with Derek, and left the apartment. Then I drove straight to Meridian's offices where Detective Chen and 5 other officers were waiting. We set up in a conference room with a clear view of the elevators. The security cameras had been rerouted to show us everything happening on Derek's floor without tipping off Marcus and Derek that they were being watched. All we had to do now was wait. Marcus arrived at 8:47 p.m. I watched him on the security feed, walking through Meridian's lobby like he owned the place. He was wearing all black, ridiculous like a cartoon burglar, and carrying a laptop bag. Derek met him at the elevators and they went up to the 3rd floor together. My hands were shaking. I'd been with Marcus for 9 years, I'd trusted him with everything. And here he was about to commit a felony using my credentials, my access, my career as his weapon. They got to work immediately. I watched through the cameras as Derek logged into the financial systems using credentials he'd stolen from our database. Then Marcus pulled out a USB drive, my USB drive, the one I kept in my home office, and plugged it into Derek's computer. He'd copied all my access codes, all my authorization credentials. Everything he needed to steal millions and blame me for it. Detective Chen's radio crackled. "Teams in position, waiting for your signal." We watched as Derek initiated the first transfer. $250,000 from a client investment account to an offshore holding company. Then another, then another. In 15 minutes they'd moved almost $2 million. "Why are we waiting?" I whispered to Detective Chen. "They're actively stealing money. We need them to complete enough transfers to prove conspiracy and intent. If we move too soon, they can claim they were testing security systems or doing authorized work. We need clear, undeniable evidence." So we watched. Marcus and Derek worked efficiently like they'd practiced this. Maybe they had. By 9:30 p.m. they'd moved $3.8 million out of client accounts. They were almost done. Then Marcus's phone rang. He answered it on speaker and I heard a woman's voice I didn't recognize. "Are we good?" the woman asked. "Almost done," Marcus said. "Another 10 minutes. The accounts are clean, the offshore transfers are processed. By Monday morning we'll be ghosts. And the wife, she has no idea. By the time anyone realizes what happened, all the evidence points to her. She'll be too busy defending herself to come after us." The woman laughed. "You really thought of everything, didn't you?" "I had 3 years to plan. I wasn't going to waste it." That's when I started crying, not because I was sad. Because I was so angry I couldn't contain it anymore. 3 years, our entire marriage was just preparation for this betrayal. Detective Chen put a hand on my shoulder. "Ready?" I nodded. He spoke into his radio. "All units move in, go, go, go." There was a third accomplice, a woman planning to disappear with Marcus. The police moved fast. I heard shouting through the security feed, saw Marcus and Derek's shocked faces as officers swarmed their position. Derek put his hands up immediately, surrendering without a fight. Marcus tried to run, he didn't get far. 2 officers tackled him before he made it to the stairwell. I watched through the cameras as they handcuffed him, read him his rights, pulled him to his feet. He looked scared now, confused, desperate. That's when Detective Chen said, "Okay, Sarah, you're up." We went downstairs to the 3rd floor. The hallway was full of police officers, evidence bags, and camera flashes. And there, standing in handcuffs with 2 officers flanking him, was Marcus. When he saw me, his face went through a series of expressions I'll never forget. Confusion, shock, recognition, fear. "Sarah, what are you?" Then understanding dawned. "You knew. This whole time you knew." I walked right up to him, close enough to see every detail of his face. The face I'd woken up next to for 7 years, the face that had lied to me for 3. "Did you ever love me?" I asked quietly. "Even once, even in the beginning." Marcus's jaw tightened. He looked away, and that was my answer. "She was a mark from the start," Derek said suddenly. He was sitting on the floor against the wall, already cooperating with police. Marcus researched her for 6 months before he even asked her out. Knew she was ambitious, knew she worked at Meridian, knew she had potential to move up. "He dated you specifically to get access to this company." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. 6 months? You planned this before we even met." Marcus finally looked at me. There was no remorse in his eyes, just cold calculation and frustration that his plan had failed. "You were perfect. Young, ambitious, trusting. I knew you'd go far at Meridian. I just had to be patient." 9 years, I whispered. 9 years of my life. "And you were going to throw it all away," he said bitterly. "All that money, all that access, and you were just going to keep working like a good little employee." "I was doing us a favor. We could have been rich, Sarah, free. If you just stayed stupid a little longer." That's when I slapped him, hard, right across the face. An officer started to intervene, but Detective Chen waved him off. I think everyone in that hallway understood that I'd earned that slap. Marcus's head snapped to the side. When he looked back at me, there was a red mark on his cheek and rage in his eyes. "You're going to regret this," he hissed. "I'll testify that you knew about everything, that you were part of the plan. They'll never prove otherwise." "Actually," Detective Chen said, stepping forward, "we have recordings of you explicitly stating that Sarah has no idea what you're doing." Your own words, Marcus. "On tape. Plus surveillance footage, keylogging evidence, financial records. And Derek here, who's already agreed to testify against you in exchange for a reduced sentence." The rage on Marcus's face transformed into something else. "Defeat? You were wearing a wire. 3 days' worth," I said. "Every conversation, every lie, everything you said about Costa Rica and disappearing and leaving me to take the blame. I have all of it." Marcus had targeted Sarah from the very beginning. Their entire relationship was a con. They took Marcus away, still spitting threats and excuses. Derek went quietly, already working out his plea deal. But the night wasn't over yet. Detective Chen had one more surprise for me. "We arrested the 3rd accomplice an hour ago," he said. "The woman Marcus was talking to on the phone. Want to know who she is?" I wasn't sure I did, but I nodded anyway. Detective Chen pulled up a photo on his phone and showed it to me. I gasped. It was Linda Ashworth, Meridian's chief financial officer, my boss's boss, a woman I'd admired, looked up to, tried to emulate. Linda was going to approve the offshore transfers on Monday morning, Detective Chen explained. "Make them look legitimate, bury them in routine financial reports. By the time anyone noticed, the money would be untraceable and the 3 of them would be in South America." Linda knew Marcus. They've been having an affair for 2 years. "She's the one who pushed for your promotion, Sarah. She needed someone in senior operations who Marcus could control. Someone whose credentials would give them complete access to client accounts." I sat down on the floor right there in the hallway. I couldn't stand it anymore. My promotion, the thing I'd worked so hard for, dreamed about, sacrificed for, had been orchestrated by my husband and his mistress so they could rob my company. "Your career is safe," Detective Chen said gently. We can prove you're a victim, not a participant. Meridian's CEO has already been briefed. You'll keep your position. Actually, you'll probably get Linda's job once this goes public. I started laughing. I couldn't help it. It was either laugh or scream, and I was too tired to scream. I'd gone from almost losing everything to potentially running the entire finance division, all in one night. The legal process took 8 months. Marcus pleaded not guilty at first, trying to claim I'd framed him somehow. But the evidence was overwhelming: recordings, surveillance footage, keylogging data, Derek's testimony, Linda's communications. His lawyer eventually convinced him to take a plea deal. 15 years in federal prison for conspiracy to commit fraud, identity theft, and attempted grand larceny. Linda got 12 years. Derek got 5 years with possibility of parole after 3 thanks to his cooperation. I attended every hearing. Sat in the front row of the courtroom, looked Marcus in the eyes every single day, and watched his attempts to manipulate and charm fail completely. The jury saw him for exactly what he was, a con artist who'd married a woman specifically to rob her company. At sentencing, the judge asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement. I did. I stood at the podium, looked directly at Marcus, and spoke clearly. You stole 9 years of my life. You manipulated me, isolated me from friends, studied my career moves, and planned my destruction. You made me doubt my instincts, my intelligence, my worth. But here's what you didn't count on: I'm smarter than you, I'm stronger than you, and I survived you. Marcus wouldn't look at me, just stared at the table in front of him while I continued. I will not let you define me. I will not let this experience break me. I'm 34 years old, and I have decades ahead of me to build a real life with real love and real success. You have 15 years in a cell to think about what you threw away when you underestimated me. When I finished, the courtroom was silent. Then the judge spoke. Mr. Reeves, you targeted a woman for her ambition and intelligence, then spent years trying to destroy those very qualities. Your sentence reflects not just the crime you committed, but the profound betrayal of trust you orchestrated. 15 years, no eligibility for early release. That was 6 months ago. Today, I'm the chief financial officer at Meridian Financial Group. I got Linda's old job, her old office, her old salary. I make $420,000 a year now. I work with an incredible team, and I'm implementing new security protocols to make sure what happened to me can never happen to anyone else. I've started dating again, slowly, carefully. I'm in therapy twice a week, working through trust issues and relationship trauma. My therapist says I'm making remarkable progress. I say I'm just stubborn and refuse to let Marcus's betrayal ruin the rest of my life. Jamie, my best friend and attorney, is still my rock. We have dinner every Tuesday, and she never once blamed me for not seeing the signs earlier. Con artists are professionals, she always says. Their job is to make you trust them. You're not stupid for falling for it, you're human. I sold the apartment, Marcus, and I shared and bought a condo downtown with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city skyline. Every morning I wake up, make my coffee, and look out at Charlotte spread below me. I built this life, not Marcus, not Linda, me. Sometimes I wonder if Marcus thinks about me in prison. If he regrets choosing money over love, or if he's just angry he got caught. I'll never know, and honestly I don't care anymore. He's a chapter in my story, not the whole book. The most dangerous person in your life might be the one who seems most devoted to your success. Trust your instincts, document everything. And remember, you're always stronger than someone who underestimates you. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe. More stories are on your screen right now. Click one and I'll see you there.